on digital radio, on the app, on your smart speaker, on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by The Sportscast.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Victor Arocho and Byron Jones. And here's your host, Victor Arocho.
Yo, let's get it on. Let's get it on. Live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and from the Tower Club in Fort Lauderdale, downtown Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk, hosted by Byron Jones and Victor Arocho, brought to you by The Sportscast. Today is June 26th. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to The Sportscast on all channels, YouTube, X, Spotify, iTunes. Please, and if we're streaming on all podcast channels, go look up, subscribe to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. Please leave us a rating and a review. It'll help us out tremendously. And if you like what we're talking about right now, please smash that like button on YouTube. Hit the notification. You'll get to hear all our shows. You'll be able to get data, some of our guests and their shows. And Mr. Byron Jones is always putting up awesome data and sheets that'll help you and your fantasy football teams because he does drafts. He goes top 25 quarterbacks, receivers. We'll get into that a little bit later. But let's get it on. Mr. Byron Jones, how are you doing today? How hot are you, baby?
Man, it's hot.
Oh, toughen up, man. I'm going to take your jersey car back. I'm going to take your jersey car back, man.
I don't do 112, man. It was 112 yesterday. All righty.
Yeah, Club soda, by the way. I just drink it in a rock glass. It's too hot. So I'm seeing I'm Santiago, and look, we also have on our show our executive producer of the Sportscast, Mr. Santiago Leon, with his Beastie Boy hip hop haircut today. Welcome to the show, Mr.
I'm
Santiago.
going back to the 90s, back when the golden days of
Can you beatbox?
Of Victor Arocho. No, doing good. Watching some Club World Cup games are held up in the Eagle Stadium up in Philadelphia. The Giants Stadium is having some games, some natural grass. No one's getting injured, so maybe something the NFL teams can look at.
And we have a special guest guest coming on. She is also a host and a podcaster on the WCFL Dolphin. Let's welcome to our show, Miss Pamela. Welcome to the show, Miss Pamela.
Hi. Hello. Thanks for having me.
An intense Dolphin fan. So we got a Dolphin fan, we got Giants fan, and Santiago. I guess you're a Dolphin fan, right?
I'm a Dolphin fan, man. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I don't change teams.
All right, good. Don't change teams. I haven't either. It's taken me 20 years, and it's impossible. Welcome to the show, Miss Pamela.
Thank you.
And you're up in the space. NASA Space Center of the world, right? And is that Cocoa Beach or where's that?
It's a little rural community north of Titusville. It's called Mims. We consider ourselves rednecks around here. So yeah, you can call me whatever. But
you guys have Buc-ee's over there?
We have a lot of stuff around here. I live where I live, we have, some land, some chickens and dogs and a pond full of fish and we just live, Well,
Pamela,
it's all about the Rockets.
Let's tell our guests, our listeners, that in Florida, everybody knows how long Florida is, but you have to go north. The more north you go in Florida, the more south you're in.
The more southern we are. Exactly.
So
you're 100%.
When she says, rednecks, and you think of Florida, you're like, what's wrong? It is true. Once you start going past north of Orlando, you're in southern country. I mean, Jacksonville pretty much is southern Georgia.
I really appreciate, Victor, that you realize that because people don't realize that native Floridians are very southern. We are very southern. That's our heritage. People think we are the people that move here. We are not, and we resent it. A lot.
No. Let me tell you something. I've met some people from South Florida that are generational Floridians, and they have a Southern accent.
They're very Southern.
Like
very
Broward
County, you see some up here
in Miami-Dade, in Broward and Dade County.
Yep.
Generational Floridians with Southern accents.
That's right.
Maybe you can find them in Hialeah, maybe one or two.
You're gonna find any Southern in Hialeah. Are you kidding me? They're freaking pit bull. You know,
no, we like our pit bulls.
I'm saying, it's pit bull like the singer. They're Cubaniches.
No, I know
the Cuban pieces. And I'm married to a Cuban, so I'm good with it. I'm just saying they can be Southern Cubans, but they ain't Southerners. All right, well let's get it on. Mr. Byron Jones, I cannot believe what I'm reading here, what they produced for me. Giants are looking to trade Kayvon Thibodeaux to the Patriots. We better get something. What's going on?
Rumor. Well, you figure they picked up his 5th-year option. You know, they got Abdul Carter. They have Brian Burns. They're playing a fortune. You know, the going rate for edge rushers are $40 million a year, whatever. I don't think the Giants are going to, unless he has a breakout year. I mean, like a breakout year. You know, they're not going to pay him that kind of money. So the best thing to do is to trade him. You know, he is a fifth. You know, I think it was the 5th player picked in the draft. You know, you can probably get maybe a 1 or a 2 or something. You know, for him. You know, if you trade him. But you know, I don't want to see him go. But you know, if it's going to help the team in the future, you know, it is what it is.
Well, look, I don't want to see him go right now because of Abdul Carter. And wait a second. Why don't you tell our listeners and tell everyone on here what you told me, right? When we first started, when we got Abdul Carter, we were excited because now what are we going to do with him? What are we going to do with Thibodeaux? And then we started reading that they were reports were coming out. They were trying to put packages where all of them could be on the field at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
They put packages together. Now tell the story you were telling me when they had it.
Yeah, when they had it, all three of them met at the quarterback at the same time. You know, during the mini camp, and it was weird. I was like, "Whoa!" All three of them. Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. The Giants of old, the NASCAR package that we had back in the day, and you know, because Abdul Carter can also play off the ball. You know, that's going to help him a lot. But, you know, we're going to see how that goes. If the Giants stink, you know, halfway through the season before, you know, like the trading deadline, I can see that happening.
Can the Giants do good without him? Yeah,
because you got Abdul Carter. You know, but the problem is that you really don't know how good this kid is going to be. It's like, all right, he's the 3rd player pick. You know, they're trying to compare him to, you know, Micah Parsons. You know, he's this, he's that. But he still hasn't stepped on the field yet. You know, to see if he's going to be that type of player. It's all projection.
Well, let's ask Miss Pam. Pam, here's the situation with the Giants, right? To ask a quick question. Can you do well without him? Well, you know, first of all, we can't do any worse because
I don't know.
We're not that good. We're not that good right now, okay? But my point being is, you know, he is talent, but sometimes you may need that additional talent around you. So if what Byron just said that, you know, now with him and you got Abdul Carter and then was it Dexter Lawrence? Was the other one?
Yeah.
You got Dexter Lawrence. You got 3 guys, right? Now they become a lot better together than separate. So Pam, any thoughts on that?
Well, he's 24 years old, right? He's kid. I mean, I don't know how long ago it was for you being 24, but for me, that was a while back. But 24 is young. I can tell you sometimes there was a guy I went to high school. He was maybe 5'6", 5'7" as a senior in high school. I was 5'10". I'm like a force. So when I met him at our 10-year high school reunion, he was like 6'3". I didn't recognize the guy at all. But that was at age 28. At 24, you don't know what this young man is going to be yet. And with the talent, with where he played, and, you know, like you said, fifth pick, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that you give up on him that easily.
They're not giving up on him. You know, it's just that it's an economic thing that they're not.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, they're not going to pay Brian Burns $45 million or 40. They're not going to pay Thibodeaux 40. And if any team that's that needs that edge rusher, they're going to come call to the job. Hey, you know what? We'll give you a 1, next year at a 2 or whatever for him. Somebody's going to call for him during the course of the year, depending on how the Giants do.
So Byron, is that what he's asking for? Is 40?
No, that's the going rate now for edge rushers.
What he's asking for.
Because 40.
What they do is they're putting the market. The problem is he's not at that level, right? So, the thing is, numbers wise, he's got some decent sacks, but they were irrelevant sacks. Like they weren't game changing sacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 5.
Right.
Oh, he had 5 sacks. I thought, so they weren't. The thing is though. Why give up? Like I agree with Byron and Santiago. I want your opinion, and I'm agreeing with you, Byron. I agree with
stop.
So we got to record that. Okay. I'm agreeing with Byron. Why give them? Go wait till the trade deadline, because if the 3 of them and the rest of the defense, because our defensive backs have gotten better. If our Giants have won on defense, the NFC's defense, as good as the
NFC
offense.
East.
NFC East, as good as the offense looked for Philly and so forth. Pam, you saw the Super Bowl. That was a defensive win. That was not
100%. No, it was not offensive. I mean, even Saquon was shut down. Like you didn't see too much going on from Saquon. Kansas City was prepared, but that was a defensive win, and I do feel like I'm a big-time defensive fan. That's where most of my favorite players is on the defense. And I feel like if this young man is showing some promise and he's not pulling down the top dollar yet, give him another season, see what he does. I liked what you said about getting halfway into the season. If it's like a disaster, then look at trading him. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. But at least now, because we go ahead, Byron.
Yeah, because he's not the top edge rushers. Myles Garrett. He's not a Myles Garrett. He's not a T.J. Watt. And whoever the third. He's not a Micah Parsons, definitely. But those are that's 40. All of them guys are in that 40 range, and that's what most of these guys are going to go and wanting that kind of money. And he's not going to get $40 million plus a year from the Giants based on five 5 sacks last year, I think 5 or whatever it was, and 7. But they're like Victor said, they're all like, they're not like game changing, sacks.
How is the Giants in the top defensive expensive? Who do we have that we're paying that much, Byron? Okay, look at those teams. The only team that I would say is legitimately a good defense is the Steelers, and they played terrible last year.
Yeah, so we're looking at the most expensive defenses in 2025 graphic for the podcast listeners.
So, let's take a vote out of those teams. Okay, the only one I would put up and they played terrible. They didn't play as good. They weren't terrible. The only legitimate defense on this screen right now, to me, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Byron,
I agree.
Pam,
so
2 times.
I mean, I can't believe those are the most expensive defenses because I don't see anybody that really stands out to me. Yes, you're always going to get that from the Steelers. That's their bread and butter, right? But none of those stand out where I would be, that's a defense. So I just wonder, Byron, who would you compare this kid to? Talent wise,
Thibodeaux.
No, we don't know. I don't think I can answer that right now. He's still in development. He was supposed to be that better. I mean, I know I'm answering for Byron. I think he'll agree with me. It's a hard comparison. Like, when you have the talent, you have the talent, and you were projected, and you got picked in the 5th, right? But you haven't been performing to that level. But you had signs of greatness. Like how do you like? It's hard to It's hard to think of another player. You only remember players that are either memorable or really stink.
Except for, I can think of a lot of players at age 24 that weren't who they were going to be. That is kind of my point about being a 24-year-old. There's players that, you watch come up, and a lot of times it has to do with who is around them, their coaches, who's their influence, because coaches a lot of times can have a big influence on how a player will progress. So,
but also fellow players have an influence. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you put him with the other two based on what Byron said. All three of them were at the quarterback at the same time. That means they didn't know who to block. He does have the speed. He does have the size, right? But sometimes you need, how players make other players better, right? So hopefully this can happen here because we win on defense. But if not, go halfway. I mean, Santiago, what did you think about those defenses? That's ridiculous. By the way, that's another reason why Shane should be fired. Fire him. Fire Shane. How can you have the top spending defense and you stink?
And what does that tell you, Mick?
It tells you that you're stupid. Like you're paying all that money for a defense that wasn't good, right?
Is it the coaching?
You got rid of a couple things. It's
always the coaching.
It's the coaching. It's also them coaching up the players. It's the players having lack of spark. It's a combination, but it also starts with the selection, the player. You're paying that much money for poor performance. Someone needs to be held accountable. It's either the coach, the GM, or the player. But that's my feeling on it. You got me started with that. I'm just, Byron already heard me. Get me fired up. Fire him.
Like here. Okay, this is what Thibodeaux's done the last 3-4 years. He had 4 sacks his first year, 11.5 and 23. He had 5 last year, but he's missed a lot. Like his first year and the third year, he's missed a lot of games. So he's hurt, and 26.
But even
sacks,
his 11.5 sacks weren't impactful. Remember, we even said that.
No,
they weren't game changing. It wasn't like, oh my God, it's a third down. We need it. It's a fourth down. They're going for it. It's just one of those things. So but I want to bring it up a good point, Pam, where you brought up before. I mean, and Byron started laughing. Right? Was think about it. Like you either know players that are terrible. Right, that or bad influences on the team, Kadarius Toney, or superstars. You know what I mean? That are either really superstars or superstars that get themselves in trouble. Tyreek Hill.
Oh, hello.
I had to throw it out.
1,000%. I'm on board with that.
I guess she wouldn't. Papa Paul wouldn't disagree with me either.
He wouldn't. I consider him a problem.
Do you think he's a great problem in the locker room?
He's a problem.
I think he is a problem in the locker room. I think he's a problem wherever he goes because he can't keep that mouth shut. No. He has as much talent as any wide receiver you'd want to see. Does he execute that talent the way he should? No, he doesn't. He needs to get his mind off of this baby mama and that baby mama and I'm put upon and I need this and I need that and I'm a drama queen and he needs to play football. He needs to do the job that he is paid to do. As a fan, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, dude, you need a rude awakening and I'd be happy to help you have that.
Yeah, but like she said, look, the guy that's an example that he has talent. Well, Santiago, when you said he's a problem in the locker room, Byron, you know better because you played, right? If you're a problem outside of the locker room, there's a higher chance that you're a problem inside the 100%. Locker room. Byron was in the locker room, so I mean, he's the only one on this show that can answer that.
On the Miami Dolphins, who's the most senior, player, on the team that's been there, like the longest tenured guy on that team? Who's been there the longest?
We almost have nobody that I would consider a tenured player. I mean, I don't know.
That's where
I loved Calais Campbell, and I loved his influence and how he is as a player. He's not a tenured Miami Dolphins player. He's, but he's the kind of guy you want. Right? He's tenured himself, just not as a Dolphin necessarily.
Well, because the Dolphins are like the Giants. They're like the mini camp for other teams. They leave and they become superstars somewhere else.
1,000%.
Hello,
Christian Wilkins.
I used to make fun of the Dolphins all the time, and then the Giants did the same thing. These guys go and they become, the sports shows are like, oh, the Giants did well, and they name all the players, but they're playing on another team.
Wait for Daniel Jones for the Colts. Wait for that.
Yeah, I mean, but here's an example with Thibodeaux, Pam. Here's an example with Thibodeaux, right? He's not even getting paid where Byron's saying, but we were paying Barkley and we were paying Daniel Jones. They let them go, and we got zero. We got nothing for them. Not even a 1 round, nothing. We got no money, no draft picks. And between those two, how much was their contracts? At least a couple $100 million.
Yeah. I mean, Saquon is a generational talent. That guy.
He's a good guy.
Good guy. Good teammate. Incredible talent. Great attitude. This is the guy you want.
What's his name, Byron?
Oh, you're killing me right now. I'm getting ready to get off, man. I can't say it, man. I can't. I'm not doing it.
Byron refuses to say his name. He feels he's a traitor.
Number 26. Number 26.
20, that's what he calls him. Number
but
26.
Is he a traitor? Is he a traitor, or was he just feeling stagnant? I understand, Byron. I understand where you're coming from, because the number of players that were my heart that I just loved as a Dolphin fan, and we got rid of them. If I hear the Miami Dolphins say one more time, we got to get better through the draft, I want to slap somebody upside the head. How do you get better through the draft? Have a guy develop and then say bye-bye whenever he's playing at the top of his game. Oh my gosh. And why trade to your own, the teams that you play twice a year? Why are you going to trade? It just the damn dumbest stuff. I can't even stand it.
Yeah, you can't trade.
All right. Let's go. They're moving on. They're speaking to me. We may have to go to commercial. All right, let's go. All right, Giants players actively recruiting Odell Beckham Jr. to return. Why?
Because he's a Miami Dolphin and he's got to go somewhere.
What players are actively recruiting them? Santiago?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, that inner giant, look, he still has it. What do you think, Byron?
Malik Neighbors, LSU, another LSU guy. That's what that's about.
Love LSU. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, he would be a good mentor for the kid, but I think Malik Neighbors is – look, Odell Beckham became Odell Beckham when he made that catch.
Yes.
Right? That catch is what turned everything around. Like, that was just an amazing catch. But he wasn't Malik Neighbors in his first year. Malik Neighbors just dominated without a quarterback. Okay? Dominated. I don't care who was in, Malik Neighbors dominated. Like, that guy is a generational talent. To me, he's a superstar. I think Byron still doesn't agree yet. The brother's a superstar. To play with that lousy of line and that lousy quarterbacking. I mean, what's his numbers from last year? Numbers are big. Did he make all pro? Did he make the Pro Bowl?
I would assume so.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm telling you, the brother's good.
Do you think the Pro Bowl means what the Pro Bowl used to mean? Because to me, the Pro Bowl has become a joke. I don't think the most talented players. I think it becomes a popularity contest if you happen to have a bunch of people that live in your city that can vote for a player. Yes, I just don't think that fans know enough about other teams' players a lot of times, because there's some awesome players on all kinds of teams that don't make the Pro Bowl that are Pro Bowl quality. I don't think it means what it used to. At least it doesn't feel that way to me.
Well, first of all, he's a 1,000-yard receiver with a lousy quarterback. That's actually pretty good.
That's excellent.
Yes. We don't have a lot of touchdowns because we had no quarterback can throw in the red zone, including Daniel Jones. He doesn't have, we had no line, but 1,000 receiving yards, Byron, and in your first year with a terrible team, Come on, how can you not say that guy was not a good player?
Which is one thing I want to ask you about your defense. So
let me answer the Pro Bowl question. The thing about respect, you did change my mind a little bit as what you said, but one thing I did like about the Pro Bowl compare like all stars of other teams is the Pro Bowl selected by players, right? It's not selected by fans. You understand?
Or journalists.
Or journalists. In the NBA and everything else, it's either fan selected or journalist selected. This is by your own peers, right? So when you make the Pro Bowl by your own peer, I mean, you're
respected.
You gotta be pretty respected. Now, the game itself is a waste, right? That's why I think they're changing it to like flag football because they don't want football game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
getting ready for the Olympics.
The game is a waste, but being selected by your peers, Pam, I think that's pretty impressive.
I agree with you on that. I 100% agree because I do think players, like you said, that locker room thing, if you can be the so-called best guy on the team, but if you're a cancer in the locker room, hopefully they're not voting for you. Hopefully they're voting for that guy that means something to them.
The problem is if they don't know he's a cancer in that room because maybe it doesn't get out, they're gonna select him by like, man, I'm covering this guy as a defensive back, and he's just, and every defensive back says, geez, I hate covering this guy, and he could be a disaster. Like Tyreek Hill, he is a disaster, but the brother can play. He's lightning speed, and he can catch if he keeps out of trouble, right? But at the end of the day, he's a danger every time he steps on that field.
He is a danger. However, when you get the ball snatched straight from your hands, I don't know. Are you a little bit of a cupcake? When you drop a ball that's straight in your hands and you do it repeatedly, what are you thinking about? I don't know.
That's starting to change.
Sweaty hands. His hands are sweaty. It's hot now.
Butterfingers.
All right. Well, that was a good one, Santiago. Let's go. Let me go. I got to stick to Giants first. You kill me in the order. All right. So, what do you got, Tibo? Huh?
I think that's it for the Giants.
Squire. Okay, great. So tell us a little bit, Pam, what's happened with the Dolphins. Where you going on? Papa Paul. I love Papa Paul because he one of the very few Dolphin fans that spoke how he felt, and I felt was legit. He says he thinks you're going to have a tough year, and other Dolphin fans I talked to, that's why I like your show because you guys will say it like it is.
Yeah.
But ask him. That's why we like you on your show because then I get some respect for the Dolphins. Without you guys and meeting you guys, my respect for the Dolphins is because no matter how bad they are, you heard what I said about my own team, right? I'm like, you can't get any worse, right? But they're like, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, right? I'm like, dude, what team are you looking at, right? I mean, Santiago was with me on the show, and they go, okay, who you picking? The Giants were playing someone. I went against the Giants. They were in shock. I'm like, dude, I'm an objective
Minnesota.
I'm an objective sportscast. I'm going to tell you who I feel is the best team. Now, there are times that I picked the Giants to win NFC East, but that's when everybody was bad.
Right.
So why I might as well pick my team because they all stink. So anyhow, that's why I was saying to you that what are your thoughts? Because I want to hear your thoughts from the Dolphins. And it's sad. 2 years you guys were prominent. 2 years ago.
What happened? That's my thought right there. I have been a Dolphin fan since their existence. And so I always wore my aqua colored glasses, always had them on, always saw the positive. Okay, next year. 2 years ago, when we just absolutely blew it, the number of games, where we should have won a game. Hello, Tennessee. I mean, the last year, the talent that we had, the opportunity that we let go, I couldn't believe it, and they really ticked me off. So now I'm like Johnny O on Papa Paul's show, right? I'm Johnny O. I'm gonna sit back and wait and see. They gotta show me something. I have never talked so negative about the Dolphins, and I'm still not negative, like super negative, but I'm kind of negative. I'm calling out Tyreek Hill, calling you out. I'm calling out our coach. I'm definitely calling out the GM. Aloysius, you need to go bye-bye. You got to go. I just can't. I cannot. We changed
Byron, I'm not the
everything
one
but
complaining
that
about the
man.
GM.
Oh, he is. That's his middle name, by the way, Aloysius. And so,
So what's
you know,
up with
when
the
somebody
Jalen
uses your
Ramsey?
middle
We've been a
name.
little bit worse than the Dolphins.
Who did?
Well,
We
I
did.
was going to ask you about. So you were showing the stats on your defense, second most expensive defense in the NFL. But was it that your defense was so bad, or was it that your offense didn't stay on the field long enough and your defense, like us, so many times gets exhausted and you can't play like Superman for 4 quarters when you're on the field the whole time? You can't throw the ball and, 4 touchdowns too.
Byron?
Well, okay, the guys they're paying like Dexter Lawrence is probably a top 3 defensive line. Defensive line. He really is. He's when he got hurt, last year, missed most of the year, but the last 2 or 3 years he's been one of the top guys. Bobby Okereke was they got him from the Colts. As far as a fix it, for linebacker position. He played his first year. He played very well. His second year, third, he was kind of he got hurt too. And who's the other guy? Okereke, Dexter,
Kirker, Burns, and Lawrence.
Burns. They got him from. Yeah,
I think he froze. Byron
they got Burns from
what are you in the Poconos?
Carolina Panthers. Yep. And he's been a different maker, for the Giants, the 1 year that he's been there. But that's why they're paying those 3 guys all that money.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
No.
Yeah, those 3.
No, Pam. To answer your question, they were just that bad. I mean,
okay. I mean, I definitely watched the Giants play.
Defense backs were terrible. We couldn't get. Thibodeaux wasn't delivering. When you have an edge rusher, you need to be. Correct me if I'm wrong, Byron, but from my experience, you need an edge rusher has to be disruptive, right? He's either got to have 2. He's got to take 2 linemen to stop him, where now it frees someone else, or you don't stop him and he's disrupted. Like Micah Parsons, you can't. There's no confusion. He's disruptive.
Right.
Whether he's getting a sack or not, you have to worry about where he's on the field because he's disruptive. He plays in the middle. He plays the edge. You go, yeah, Byron.
Yeah, but the problem is like what happened with the Giants last year, Dexter Lawrence, is that he got hurt, and the defense wasn't that bad, when he was there, and you could see the difference. Like when he came out for a breather, they ran the ball. When he was in the game, most teams couldn't run against him when he was in. And it was like that all year. But once he got hurt and missed the rest of the year, that's when the floodgates opened. As they couldn't stop anybody, with the run. They were averaging 5 yards a carry, whatever against them. They were just terrible. The interior defense. You need that push because that helps the edge guys. If you got a guy that can push the pocket and the guys on the edge win their one-on-one battle, because you figure with Dexter, they're gonna double team. So Brian Burns and Thibodeaux or Carter on the edge, they have to win one-on-one because Dexter's going to do his job as far as collapse in the pocket.
So can I tell you another place I place a lot of blame? I am a referee hater. It's a good thing I can't get to them. And I will tell you, I watched both of the Giants Cowgirls games, both of them. And I'm sitting there telling you, I mean, hello, put a big bow on and hand the Cowgirls their game because I thought your coach was going to have a meltdown. The calls were horrible, and I thought the Giants outplayed the Cowgirls both times. 2024.
Hold on.
Cricket.
We got a question from the comments. Ron Wikarski. So who will be the starter, Wilson or Dart? We'll go with you, Byron.
Ooh.
That's easy.
Wilson. Wilson's going to be the starter, until I'm going to keep saying until probably
week 9.
Bye week. Whenever their bye week, that's when he's going to take over. I don't care
if things go bad.
He's so exciting.
If it's bad, good, or whatever, he's going to be the quarterback by the bye week. Dart, but Russell Wilson is going to start out the year.
Well, so there was a comment about with Saquon being on the cover of the Dart of Madden. I think that kind of stopped because it happened for a long time. But Lamar Jackson didn't get hurt. He may not have won a Super Bowl, but everybody that was on the cover was getting injured and having a really bad. But Lamar Jackson was on the cover. Joe Burrow was on the cover. I think
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't. Well, he got hurt, so I don't know when he got hurt. If he got hurt when he was on or when he was off. So that's
I was gonna say Burrow's got hurt. When
I don't know. I don't know if it happened when he was on the cover though. So I'm trying to max that. I just know that for years whoever was on the cover was really the guys were sweating. They didn't want to be on that cover. Literally were pushing away. Don't put me on that cover.
Lamar Jackson's curse was that he didn't get a chance to go to Super Bowl. He screwed up a couple times. So
it says 24 cover for GMs. I don't know what 24 missed the year. Oh, so when he was on, so he's saying that when McCaffrey was on the cover, he missed the year. Well, then the curse is still kind of on.
I think he missed 8 games. I don't think the whole year.
8 games. It's a lot of games for a guy who's the highest paid running back.
That's a lot of games.
The highest paid running back. You better go to work. You gotta go to work, bro. You can't.
13 million.
Can't go to work on one leg.
Yeah, well, you can't. Right, but I'm just saying that's a curse, right, for the team.
I think Jackson Dart is the most exciting thing you guys got going. Just the possibility.
We haven't heard from Vic about Jackson Dart much. I don't know if he's excited. Are you high expectations, Vic? Low, mid?
I don't have any expectations.
Did you watch him play in college, Vic? Did you watch him play?
Yeah, well, yes. But I also what I do like. I like Ole Miss. I like the fact that he won. If you look at his numbers, he put up good numbers in the SEC. Okay,
which is a big deal.
It's a big deal. And being at Ole Miss with all those heavy hitters in the SEC, you got to be pretty good. Eli Manning came from Ole Miss. Okay, Arch Manning, Ole Miss. Okay, so we got some history with it's like LSU players coming out, right? Alabama players coming out. They perform, right? Penn State got players. They perform, right? Ohio State
came out of Tennessee.
Except for quarterbacks. Ohio State. I think who's the first one that's doing really well? The last quarterback came out.
CJ Stroud.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic.
He's the only Ohio State quarterback that, came out and is actually performing at a high level. So I'm excited about that.
What week do you think Dart will start playing? Be a starter. If ever.
I think he's going to be a starter. It depends on the Giants. It's just hard, man, because me and Byron got him winning 4 to 5 games. I think our boy Alex got him 10-7.
Yeah, he went crazy. I don't know what he was thinking of.
Yeah, what games? Did you see their schedule? I mean, the only thing I like about the schedule is that
it's hard to schedule.
Yeah, I got a hard schedule. And what I like about the schedule, it's not even that it's really hard. Is what I do like about it though is we're not playing all our conference games at the end of the year. That was being fun. It was we would pay the Eagles like in 3 weeks. We paid them twice, and then we played Dallas. It would be it's ridiculous. Spread that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spread the conference games out. They shouldn't be that close together. What are your thoughts on that, Byron? I didn't like that. I don't like conference games that close. What are your thoughts, Byron?
It really didn't matter, if it was 1 week or 2 weeks. It was the same results. It was still bad, And yeah, they should spread it out, but that's what the NFL does.
The question is whether you should spread it out or not. That's regardless of what the results is.
My answer is it's fine the way it is.
So you don't. So Byron, as a player, as a somebody that played the game, that wouldn't mess with you, the intensity, especially for a divisional game.
Yeah. Nope.
Because they're rivalry games.
Yeah. Whoever they put on the schedule, that's what I'm gonna focus to play. It doesn't matter. If it's I play them this week, I play them 2 weeks again. But you're gonna know their tendencies because you play them all the time. You're gonna know what these guys. You know what they do because you done played them so many times.
Okay, so I'm gonna disagree with you. Okay,
agree to disagree with you.
I agree.
Here we go again.
Yes. Well, this is the whole point. The point of the show. We gotta have some
easiest
debate.
game's November 9th.
Right? Yeah. Well, don't tell the guy on the court and the thing that's a Bear fan. The reason why I disagree, Byron, is because you remember if you win your conference, which they're looking to change, by the way, right? I don't know if they're going to get it done, and I don't want them to do that. They want to change, they don't want to just because you win your conference, you win. They want to kind of go like record, like in basketball and stuff.
Yeah, they wanted to, but they voted against it.
Yeah,
just like how they did with
you win your conference, you win your conference. It's not your fault. Your conference is terrible, right?
Division.
I mean division.
The NFC South, AFC South is the problem.
And saying you got 10 and 2 teams that don't get in. Well, that's you didn't win your conference. It's like it's no different than prior to the playoffs in the college, right? You had to win your conference championship. Right, you could have been, you were 11, and that's why the SEC was having a tough time back when there was no playoffs, because pretty much whoever won the SEC was going to the championship. Yeah. So you could be 10-1,
automatic bid, and
the other team could be 11-0, and you beat them, and you're now both 11-1. But the one who won the SEC is going to the national championship. Right now, that's before the playoffs, right? But now, I think you win your conference. I mean, your division. You should win your division, right? But
I think in college it's different, though. College is different because, you get some teams that are crying, "Hey, we belong. We won our conference," and they played Cupcake U and Muffin University.
UCF.
I can't stand it. Hello, UCF. Thank you very much. Agreed 1,000%.
TCU.
BYU.
No, TCU.
All of those. And let's look what happened. Oh, they're going to go in and they're going to win TCU. I mean.
Well, now with NIL.
Time out. The 12 conference, I thought the playoffs this year was good.
Right? There was people didn't belong. There was people did not belong.
There was 12 teams. Yeah, but you weeded out 12 teams. When it was 4, it was worse, right? And when it was 2, it was bad. So 12 was better. I don't think you need to go any farther than that.
No, I don't think so.
Why I disagree with Byron, okay, is the reason why I disagree with you, Byron. Byron's right at one point where, hey, you play the man in front of you, you play the schedule. I can't control that. Not a problem. I got that. You play the man in front of you. I got that. What I don't like about back-to-back is you don't have a chance to have time to get better to win in your conference. You understand? So it's spread out. It gives you if you got 3 or 4 weeks before you have another game against a conference rival, because those games are always the toughest. I mean, look at the Jets and the Dolphins. That's a tough game all the time.
Always.
It's a tough game. So,
no matter how bad the Jets suck.
Exactly.
It's
Jets
always a
Patriots. I mean, in Giants, look at the NFC East, Byron. It would be like we'll beat up on Dallas. Dallas will beat up on
Washington.
On Washington. The Philly will beat up on the Giants. We kept switching. So the reason I like it spread out is gives me time to get better when I go and face my conference opponent. That's the reason why I just disagree with it. I want time
which are key games for positioning too.
They are key games for positioning. So if I have time to adjust, how much time did I have adjust 2 years ago when we played the Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles? Jesus.
Now, can the Eagles win back-to-back NFC East? Has not been done in 20 years.
My answer is no. I already picked Washington. I think Byron picked the Giants.
Win the NFC East?
You win the NFC East? Byron,
I
don't deflect. This is the third time he said it.
That.
So
yes,
you heard
I did.
Santiago. What time
Byron's an enigma.
9:07. Stamp it. Time stamp it.
Yep. Stamp it.
44.
Stamp it.
Because when the season comes, he's going to deny and deflect, and I have to pull.
And then Joe picked the Cowboys.
Deny, deflect.
Yeah,
Joey
Toscano picked the Cowboys,
which I think that's possible. Believe it or not,
possible. Listen, time out. If we're saying the Philadelphia Eagles won't repeat, I'm not saying they won't go far in the playoffs now. I'm not saying they don't have a chance of winning the Super Bowl either. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying they're not a good team. It's just, it's like bet GM, whatever the heck it is it's called, right? The odds are in your favor, right? I mean, no one's won it twice in 20-something years, so they have to break that, right? Like the curse of Madden. So my point being is, if it's not then who? My pick is Washington.
Washington would be good second.
Then, like you said, you got to worry about Dallas. You never know with Dallas, right?
And Brian Schottenheimer.
Then if not, then it's the Giants, which, as much as I would love to see that happen, I don't see that happening. But, Byron's wishful thinking, I'm impressed because he went from 1972 bad to they're going to win the conference. So, hey, and if they do, shoot. Then give them a contract extension. Give them a bonus to the Shane and Dable.
The Dable pair.
But
they're going to keep their job. That's what the deal is.
I still think Shane needs to be fired. But
do you think they're going to work for their job? No, kid.
They're working for their job. They're working for the jobs, which is a problem because now I think when that pressure's on you. You could either pressure makes diamonds, and then pressure also crushes people.
Yeah.
So you better come out as a diamond. You know what I mean? Like pressure sometimes could bring the best out of you, and sometimes don't. The problem is that I think pressure can bring the best out, brings the best out of more of the athlete, the doer, than it is the coach. Right, because now you can't control the play. Like, if I got pressure at work, I'm in sales, I can control what I do. I can control making more calls. I can control good networking. I control working longer. I can control this. But, the boss can only control so much of what a salesperson can do, right? Unless he's making the sales for him. As an athlete, like, LeBron James says pressure, you live for the pressure. It's going to bring the best out of players. It also crumbles players.
It can also bring the worst out of the worst.
Look at James Harden. I think he can't handle the pressure in the playoffs. He's the greatest player during the season. He's terrible in the playoffs.
He's not a clutch shooter.
He's just not good in the playoffs. Forget about clutch. You use that word loosely. It drives me crazy.
That's a trigger word, Pan, for Vic.
Coming out of your mouth, right? Tyrese Halliburton was a clutch player, right? Because he hit the shots. Derek Jeter was clutch. I mean, but clutch means in the.
Would you say Dan Marino was?
Greatest. Dan Marino wasn't clutch. He was just great.
He was just awesome. Exactly. I think of a clutch. It's a purse without straps. That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, I think a clutch to me is in the moment that you need it, they rise. What'd she say?
Under pressure. It's a pressure shot.
I said, I think of a clutch as a purse without straps. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. So to me, a clutch player is a guy who can make something happen when something needs to be done. I need to get that sack. I make that sack. I need to make that big shot. I make that big shot. In the moment, like Tyrese was
make that firing.
Tyrese Halliburton was like 12 or 14 in less than 4 minutes in game-winning shots. That's clutch.
He's a clutch shooter.
Even though he's not a superstar or anything, but 12 or 14 in less than 2 minutes in the fourth quarter to win a game, that's some serious shooting. That's pretty good.
The thing is, though, I think you had a good point that it does crush some players, and you would hope that coaches are good enough at evaluating talent that when people are playing for the job, and it is the total pressure that, because I think young players, young guys are going to go out there and they may not be ready for that kind of pressure yet. You know, I as you mentioned before, I think players that play in the SEC, they play in that kind of pressure regularly. Maybe
More
there's
experience,
somebody
yeah.
else from a smaller school that hasn't been in that position yet, but it doesn't mean that they won't be able to handle it a couple years down the road. So you got to hope your coach can evaluate that kind of talent, pressure, non-pressure, whatever.
I think it's hard, Pam, because
I
think it's hard because think about it. When you're playing Division I, you're a really good player.
Yes.
Okay, if you're a scholarship Division I player, I don't care what school you're going, unless it's like a mid-major, and even then, those schools are good. You're a good player. If you're from a HS, historically black college, and you're a good player. Okay. The thing is, you've been good most of your life, right? So now, when you step up to the NFL, it's 1%. So you've been a superstar all your life. Now you're in the NFL, and Byron, you said it. How fast does the game change from college to the NFL?
Big like when we played at Perth Amboy, we played, it was a good program, where we were, and got to college, and then it just seemed like things got even faster, when you get to college. Then when I stepped out of the field with the NFL, everything seemed like it was full. Everybody's your size. You're not dominating anybody because everybody at that level is either all county, all state, all American,
equal opportunity.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Equal opportunity beatdown, and everybody's fast. Everybody. I'm the defensive lineman, offensive lineman, and it's like, okay. Just a quick story. The first day, practice. Victor remembers up downs. Doing up downs and stuff. So we get out there with Minnesota. The first thing at practice, we did up downs for about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Then you go to practice. I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna die.
It's like modern day burpees.
And I'm sitting there. I was like, I get up. I'm sweating. And now I got to go through a whole 3-hour practice after we already done up downs.
That's in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. But it's hot in August, right? But so Pam, what happens is then you get to the NFL and the speed is there, right? And now not only do you feel shrinking because you're not the star, right? Everybody's the star. What also happens in the NFL, because when you're a scholarship player, you're not really worried too much, especially if you're already starting by your junior, senior year. If you're that good, you're not worried about someone taking your position. What makes the NFL player so great, you're worried about that next great player coming out of college. He's coming for your position. That's pressure, right? That's why what's the average lifespan of an NFL player? 3 years?
Yep, 3.
4.
Okay, 4. That's not a long time.
That's not long.
By the time you're 26, you're gone.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. And then now you add the pressure of, your contract, except for now the contract's so big. To me, I think the contract size,
it's amazing.
I think it's deserving, but at the same time, I think it may be taking some of the greatness out of some of these players because they're done. They got guaranteed money. Shoot, I got
multi-generational.
I got $100 million guaranteed. Okay, I'm out. I don't want to get hit anymore.
Point. Yep.
I don't want to get hit anymore. I'm done. I got $100 million. Let me go do something else. And hopefully somebody.
Let me start a podcast.
Right.
Everyone has a podcast. So I think that's what happens. And pressure. It's difficult. You have pressure at work. You have pressure at this and this. But at that level, it's ego, right? Because think about players that should retire earlier than they did, right? Yeah.
We got a comment. Ronald Karski, playing division rivals seem harder than playing outside of it. Vic, do you agree?
I agree with that.
I do too.
Unless you're playing against a Patrick Mahomes, but it's just that when you're playing, you're not going to play him every year. These other guys.
Oh, his new haircut?
Yeah, it looks like yours, or you changed to his haircut, I think.
something like that. He's
He
running with Messi on the
copied
treadmill.
Santiago.
And
Clearly, he copied Santiago.
Santiago got a Patrick Mahomes haircut.
And he's running elliptical with Messi.
You know, he reminds me of Kid and Play. Who's he?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Yes.
It's like, I gotta go pull up Kid. It was Kid, right?
Yeah, with the high
Santiago's like, who is that? What?
He's like,
no idea.
He's like, who's Kid and Play? All right,
I grew up in the 90s.
Here we go, Santiago. Oh, here, wait, I got a better one for you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, this is so good. Hold on. Santiago, other than the fro part, here, this you, baby. Come on, this is awesome.
There was a little more extension, though. They had a little more.
It was a little higher. It was higher.
it was a lot higher.
Look. Hey, I got you.
It was the male version of the mall bang.
No, he's got the Cuban version of Kid and Play's haircut. Hold on. I got it covered.
Oh, that's funny.
Share screen. Okay. Share screen. Kid and Play. Yo.
We can play a commercial.
Oh yeah. Shit. I didn't want to do that.
Oh.
There you go, Santiago. You're just a little bit lower and a little bit curlier.
Way lower. What's that? He's from Wayne's World. No.
Oh my God! Come on, Byron. That's pretty funny, Byron.
He has a high rise added on to.
Yeah.
His is like 3 stories high.
His 3 stories high. Santiago's is about 4 inches. That's it. His is about 7. All right. So let's keep going here. All right. So what do you think about anybody? Let's go finals. Any thoughts about the Thunder win the NBA finals? Pam, I don't know if you're into NBA.
I am not. In fact, I can't stand those guys.
Wow, that's interesting. The NBA Finals, Byron, Tyrese Halliburton scored 9 points in the first quarter. That was his highest point total, and he was on fire. When he left, they played really well. I just think that other than Siakam, the role players just crumbled in the second half, and Thunder's defense they started dominating. And the one thing I was telling Santiago earlier, and Byron, you played basketball as well, they didn't have spacing. And Byron, why don't you explain how important is spacing playing basketball?
Very. Even back in the 900 years ago when I played, that was important where you want to spread out the field, the
1900s.
Yeah, the 1900s. You want to spread out, the field, because like we had Larry Rudolph, Mo Bryant, these guys, operated very well in space. So you wanted to make sure you left. No, I was before him. Where they got plenty of room to operate. So you want to spread it out and let your star players attack the middle of the field, the middle of the court.
Yeah,
but it's also having coverage for your guy, right? It's kind of like staying home in your position on the football field. You got to stay in your area. You have to cover your people, and without that spacing, I like college basketball better, but
But even college, the kids are so big now. The average basketball player is bigger than they were in the past, right? But so what happens is, what I saw the Pacers doing in the second half is they were trying to hand off the ball instead of passing it like far. You know what I mean? Having 5 guys around. And when you're just trying to hand the ball off, and so you have 2 offensive players trying to hand off right next to each other. You have also 2 other defensive players standing right next to you, plus a third trying to jump in. Now you got 3 defensive players knowing that you're going to pass the ball. When you got more width, now it's only 1 player here. If another player comes, you can get it to the player that's open. Now you know someone's open. But when you're bunched together, you got a problem. And they started turning over the ball. And then Those guys were quick. They were. How many fast break points did they score in that game off of turnovers? A lot. So I think that was it. And you look, SGA is, I think he's the second player to be MVP and win the finals.
Second player? Wow.
If not the first, yeah.
Might be first.
Most MVP players have not won the finals.
I think Jordan did it, right?
Yeah, of
What's
course
that?
He did.
Jordan did it, yeah.
Jordan was he had to because he won 6, and there's no way he wasn't an MVP. But go find out. There was not that many players that were MVP and won the finals. Very few. And that was one of the things people were complaining about. It's like these guys. That's why they waited this year was the longest time they waited to select an MVP. Because what happens is guys were MVPs and go into the finals and were kicked out in the first round. Like, okay,
right.
Well, you're truly an MVP. You're okay. You were an MVP for the season, but you're going to take a game for it. What does it say?
Only 11. Willis Reed, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone.
So it was more than I said,
Bird,
but not
Magic.
a lot. 11 players in how many years? That's not a lot.
11 players.
But
LeBron James,
most of those were years ago, right? Not too many in recent history.
LeBron's the closest one.
Yep.
Not even Steph Curry, Vic.
I know. That's my point. I'm trying to tell you. Where's Michael? Michael Jordan's got to be on there, no?
Yeah. He's there already. Michael Jordan for sure. I mean, he broke every record.
My point being is 11. That's not a lot. How many NBA championships have there been?
A lot. Since 1955-56.
So since 1955? So
70 years.
And then
70
and then
years, 11 have made it. That's not
Finals
a big
MVP 68.
Final MVP. So it's still 50, almost 60 years.
Yeah.
Out of 60 years, 11 players. So what's that? 20%?
Yes.
So 80% of the time, the MVP doesn't win the finals.
Right.
Shaquille
O'Neal made it. Kobe Bryant made it. Wow.
Kobe Bryant made it. What?
Both. Now, hold on. Was that? Yeah.
Kobe Bryant was an MVP and a champion?
I think so. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
He was MVP, but he didn't win the championship that year. That was the whole issue that they were bringing up. So, Brian, any thoughts on the finals?
No, I'm glad the basketball season's over. It seems like it's been going on forever.
There was a long one.
Oh my gosh.
It went far.
It does.
Yeah.
The only thing I bring up is that they had the NBA draft was yesterday. And this is my question. I thought the Rutgers University, the state university for New Jersey, had 2 kids that were in the top, 5 picks, and they finished with a losing record. Rutgers. They didn't even make the NIT, the nothing, and they had 2 top 5 picks.
Really? What do you mean 2 top 5 picks?
Yeah, Bailey and Harper. Those 2 kids are both from Rutgers.
Yeah, Jazz picked Ace Bailey, number 5, number 2, Dylan Harper, which is his son of Ron Harper of the Bulls.
Yep. They
That's
had 2.
How do you
2
have
Rutgers?
2 players? 2 players. Look at Duke. Duke had the same in the same. Look, Duke had what? The number 1 and
Number
the
1
what?
and number 4 with
So in the top
And the
5, top 5, you had 2 players from Duke and 2 players from Rutgers. And
Right.
look at the difference in records.
Big difference. Wasn't even close.
Not even close.
So it's all about the talent.
I was shocked that Duke lost, and I couldn't believe it. To be honest with you,
was it against Florida or Texas Tech?
They lost a lot of money. I think it was against Florida.
It was Texas Tech, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't Florida.
It was some.
Wasn't it? Because wasn't I know Florida was in the finals. I know we won. And I say we, Gator Chomp. Yeah, baby.
No, to Houston.
Houston, yes.
The Houston Cougars.
The Cougs.
So,
The Cougs.
yeah. And then Duke had like 3 players in the top 10, no?
Yeah, number 10, the Rockets got Kaman Mulak.
And they got.
It was traded to the Suns.
He traded to the Suns because they traded a 7-foot for 7-foot, but he ain't no KD. Byron, what do you think about KD going to Houston?
who knows with this guy, man? He's at the toward the end of his career. Maybe he wants to win another championship. Bad foot, and he's just he's in it to win it now.
Well, not at Houston. Victor doesn't think so.
I don't think he's going with Houston.
He might get lucky. You never know, man. Keep hope alive.
Okay, and what do you think about who just sold for $10 billion in it? Wasn't it?
The Lakers.
Los Angeles Lakers. Imagine how much the Yankees will be sold.
Oh, by the way, that's what we were talking about, pressure. That's one thing. Pam, there are baseball players, superstar baseball players, and there's a lot of them that want to play and be a Yankee, but there's also a lot that do not because they can't handle the pressure of the New York fans.
They can't make the cut.
That's where pressure could crush you, okay? Right? You got it. I've seen players go to the Yankees and crumble because the New York Yankee fans will boo you and cheer you in the same inning.
But would you say the same for the Giants and the Jets?
I feel like that's like Philly as well, right?
They did that to Dave Winfield. You know what I mean? Reggie Jackson. They did it. I mean, it's not easy playing in for the New York team, for the New York Yankees. Right?
I can imagine.
Expectation is totally different, right? So that's I wanted to mention to you about pressure. Like there's guys that won't go there, just they don't want to deal. They're they could be good old boy. They play for Atlanta. They like Georgia. They're good old. This is why do it. It's not worth it for them. They don't want to be in the scrutiny. They're getting a lot of money, and why go there? But then there's other players that want to be in the pinstripes. They want to be be that guy. And guys like Juan Soto that the Mets made another dumb move. Sorry, Richie Vargas.
Richie's running a dissertation on pressure. And for the NBA, I would say like Los Angeles Lakers too. I would say.
What about them?
Like there's pressure to play for that team.
No, I think there's more pressure being the coach of that team.
I anything with that team, right? Like I mean anything. Yeah.
Okay. But for NFL, I mean, I don't know who would you compare it to, but
the Patriots. But I think playing for the Lakers. The thing is, basketball. It's hard to say you have as much pressure, like fan wise, in that. Playing in New York for the Knicks is pressure. Like New York fans are just totally different. You know what I mean? Like look at Soto.
Philadelphia.
That's what I was saying. Philly. Yep.
Philadelphia, yeah. But look at Soto. He's batting 256, 19 home runs, 45 RBIs, and 73 hits. Right. For stats here versus Judge. Here comes the Judge. Here comes the Judge. Okay. Okay.
I remember that too.
Aaron Judge he's batting 356. No, that's not this year. I can get this for the Mets. Okay, here it is. No, what's his average? I can't see his average at bats. He's got 28 home runs, 60 RBIs. This guy's got 19 and 45. I can't see his batting average though. I don't know why. But I'm glad Soto left. I would have liked to have kept him. Huh?
Very expensive player.
I would have liked to have kept. Yeah, but the Yankees offered him money. He offered him $5 million less than the Mets, and only 1 year less for $5 million bucks. And he was killing it because who are you going to pitch to? Him or now the guy? Look at the guy who's batting behind Judge now. He's killing it.
Judge is batting 361.
Yeah, and he was at 400 at one point. He's batting 361. What's Soto? 259.
Yeah. Well,
yes or no?
I'm sure he wished he was on the other side.
He's not happy. Well, I don't know how you can not be happy with a $700-something million contract. But
take the money and run.
I guess, but I think he just didn't want to be number two. And he's not even number one in the Mets. So you left. And all I'm saying to you is that, like, you could say it's about the money, but $5 million out of $700 million, it's really not that big
It's not. It's a very small percentage. Very small.
It's not that big. And to play at the Yankees, it's historic, right? There's not very, not very many players are historic Mets, right? There are a few, but a lot are real old, right? Yeah, Piazza, Rusty Staub, but now you're going back real far. Tom Seaver. I mean, these are real far. Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid.
$1 million every July 7th or 9th. I think
every million 7th. On his birthday on July. He gets paid $1 million.
He had the greatest agent.
The brother's like 50, 60 years old.
I think it's gonna run out soon. I think 2030.
It's gonna end like in 2 or 3 years. But dude, imagine just
the greatest contract. Bobby Bonilla Day.
That's being paid to be yourself. I need someone to do that. I need someone to pay me to be me. No, I'm the best person for the job.
Imagine getting a birthday card with $1 million check in it.
Oh man.
Is that tax deductible?
No.
I want cash.
There you go.
Okay,
under the table.
You think they're Mets are writing a check? It's a freaking wire. It's an ACH right into his account.
I want cash.
Paid. He's getting mailed.
I want to see cash. Cash.
Yeah.
Right. Suitcase.
Yeah, Byron.
Something like Barry in the backyard in a mason jar. That's what I want to see.
Exactly. Right. All right. Well, we're about to wrap this up a little bit. Pam, tell us how our fans can, our listeners can reach you on your show, and tell us a little bit about it.
So, you can find me on Facebook, Pamela Dolphin. I go with Papa Paul once in a while. And they've moved to TFTG. I don't know if y'all know that, the Fence Tailgate. So they've moved and
that's news to us.
Collaborating with them. Yep. And they're a great bunch of guys. They're wonderful. I stream every Dolphin game. You can find me in Forever Dolphin Fans on Facebook. I stream every game. You can find the Dolphin game no matter where you live. And you're probably going to get a good dose of me yelling and screaming at the TV. So,
all right,
I stand for you.
Well, Pam, thank you for joining. You're always welcome to our show. I hope you had a good time. You had a good time today?
Very much.
All right, awesome. Mr. Jones is fine. Hey, kid, thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. Bust out a rap for us, cool. Santiago.
I don't rap. So. I do not rap.
Santiago's our executive producer of the Sportscast. We really appreciate. He always puts our stuff together. He puts our banners. Thank you so much for helping us out. And Santiago, tell us about some of the shows you have on the Sportscast during the week.
Yeah, so my show's on Mondays and Fridays at 12:30 p.m. We talk a little bit more about soccer, obviously NBA basketball, a little bit of everything like SportsCenter. And then going on this summer is the Club World Cup. If you guys don't know, it's a big club soccer tournament where the biggest clubs in the world, like Manchester City, Juventus, Manchester United, Chelsea, they're all coming in. They're playing at your Giant Stadium on natural grass. So we'll figure out who is the champion. Next year is the big daddy of it all, the World Cup.
What about the other shows, Santiago? What other shows?
And then you got the Owner Bag at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays with Joey, which he talks about the Steelers and everything. So, and either way, there's no show next week for the Jersey Boys due to the holiday weekend.
But we may have a rerun of a show. No,
we'll see.
All right. So we're gonna be ending. Mr. Byron Jones, how's everything? Anything? Is everything? How's everything going with the family?
All good in the hood.
Good.
That's it?
All righty. Yeah, we're about wrapping this up. So thank you, everybody, for the show. Don't forget, we're every Thursday streaming live on YouTube and Facebook and streaming on your favorite podcast channel. Look up the Jersey Boys Sports Talk. You can find us there. Don't forget to subscribe and like us on all your social media channels. We appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Be safe. God bless. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Peace.
Peace.